Hi everyone, this is Jason Burack of Wall Street from Main Street. I'm just going to do a short video today highlighting some current events that I saw. I was actually really surprised to see on Kitco earlier in the week on Monday, they interviewed Jacob Rothschild. Normally, you guys who are familiar with the manipulation in the gold market, the Rothschild's involvement in that, well, he's actually speaking positively about gold in this article. I will give you guys a link to this, but he's talking about how he's increasing his exposure to gold. He's decreasing his exposure in stocks. He's talking about the problems in the global economy, some of them, and he's talking about negative interest rates. So, a lot of billionaires, guys, are going on the record now, and they are warning about the problems in the global economy, all these different problems. Sam Zell talked about the currency instability and how that's hurting global trade recently. I think that was on CNBC or Bloomberg. Carl Icahn is talking about this article from Shift Gold. It's a video of Carl Icahn doing the interview. I'll also attach the link. He's talking about the over-regulation is causing the U.S. economy to not be able to create jobs. We have Alan Greenspan talking about massive inflation built up in the system, that people should get gold. And there's also a lot of billionaires, like I said, that are either selling their stocks, going short the market, or they are going heavily into gold. This guy, he's a billionaire, Crispin Odegaard. He's a hedge fund manager. I don't know if he's a billionaire anymore because he's had some losses, but he used to be a billionaire. So now he's just become very bearish on the global economy. So there are a lot of billionaires now that in the past they would have never bought gold. They would always have been bullish on stocks or bonds or real estate. They would have trusted the government numbers, the government data that's coming out about the GDP, employment, jobs, CPI, inflation numbers, etc. And I think now a lot more people are starting to wake up that these things are purely fiction, that they are economic propaganda on the levels of Soviet Union propaganda, Nazi propaganda, in terms of the economic propaganda that we have right now. So there are billionaires waking up. In the past, guys, the only billionaires who are involved who would have bought gold stocks were really Eric Sprott, Hugo Salinas Price, who would have continued to accumulate physical gold and silver. There were some other ones up in Canada, like Ross Beatty, who's successfully invested in many resource companies. He built Pan American Silver, among others, and Lucas Lundin and also Frank Giustra, although those guys are more controversial now since they were named in the Clean Cash documentary. But I still think these guys are good businessmen in terms of finding good investments. Obviously the stuff they're doing with their morality and the bribes and stuff, they shouldn't be doing that. Frank Holmes was also named in the Clean Cash documentary. I was surprised. I've interviewed Frank Holmes in the past. I think he's, a very smart guy. I was surprised to hear him named there. But, guys, when money's involved, there's egos. And, guys who are already rich, they want even more. Unfortunately, you cannot fully stop that with government regulation. People are always going to find ways to cheat and manipulate markets and bribe politicians and stuff. I think the best way to stop that is for the private citizen to realize that they are on their own, that government is not going to protect them, and it's buyer beware. So we need a more informed consumer, a more informed investor, and that's one of the goals of Wall Street for Main Street. So I think it's very interesting that Jacob Rothschild is now coming out and speaking positively about gold. George Soros has been trading in and out of some of his gold positions, so those things are updated 3 months later. We don't know exactly what he's long or short, but he doesn't have to report physical gold holdings for any of his funds. So he only has to report gold stocks or investments or trades in GLD. He doesn't have to report him going to, Switzerland or to Singapore and buying physical gold and storing it there. So I think a lot of billionaires realize the writing is on the wall. The global economy is in major, major danger. And, there are people like Willem Middelkoop here on the News Doctors talking about the new global reset for the economy. I'll attach this article here. It looks like things are starting to accelerate. The RMB is about to go into the SDR basket in the next month or so, and the Chinese government is pushing SDR-backed bonds. So there even more infrastructure and foundation is being laid for the next global economic system. Trying to time this thing, guys, is not wise. Perfect timing on this thing, because there is so much liquidity programs. There's so many currency swaps and other QE that's going on behind the scenes. We know publicly stating that the governments are putting in at least 180 billion. When you count what China's doing with liquidity and reinvestment from the Federal Reserve of interest payments on their treasuries, it's a lot more than 180 billion per month being reinjected into global asset prices. And even still, we might get a crash. So there are a lot of billionaire warnings. I've been covering markets now since around 2008. I've been paying attention to them, and I just don't remember this many billionaire warnings. Even prior to the 2008 crash, there were not this many people who are convinced that things were going to collapse. So be very careful out there, guys. It's going to be a financial minefield going forward. I said that on an interview that I have coming out soon for the Reluctant Preppers. You can check that out on Dunnigan Kaiser's channel. That should be out in the next day or two, that interview. I'm going to get the interview schedule going back again soon. It looks like we're going to have Louis Camarasano from Small Gold come on next week. He's going to talk about the Swiss National Bank buying a whole bunch of American stocks. I think they own over $60 billion worth of U.S. stocks, including $1 billion worth of gold and silver stocks. Well, I guess that kind of hedges their position since they've been selling their physical gold for a while, or leasing it or swapping it out. Anyways, guys, hope you enjoy this short video. I think things are very dire. We are seeing a lot of billionaires either going long gold or warning about the problems in the global economy and how asset markets are overvalued and how they are going to gold and cash. So be careful out there. Have some defensive positions for sure. This is not the best time to be offensive unless you are going for some type of shorts and you consider that offensive, or you have gold and silver stocks and you're accumulating quality companies that even if there's a dip in gold and silver prices with paper price manipulation, that these companies have money in they're generating good cash flow because they're producing gold and silver at low cost, or they have cash in the bank if they're a junior and they're not diluting their shareholders too much. So they have good cash on the treasury and their burn rate's not too high. Okay, guys, thanks for listening.